Thank you very much. First, I want to make a couple of comments at the very beginning. First, I want to thank Mr. Inaba for visiting Warsaw, Indiana, to the new Toyota dealership there. It was a big thing for the small town. Dave Illing is running that, and that's in my district, and people were very excited to have you in. Secondly, I have some concerns about the way the hearings have been conducted. To some degree, it seems like we're having a hanging before the trial. Now, I'm not saying that you're not guilty. I'm just saying it seems by hauling you in here in the way we've handled this, and by going through a lot of internal memos, there's a lot yet to be decided. And I'm trying to get to the truth. I represent an auto area. We make parts through my whole district. Fort Wayne, Indiana is the proud home of the Silverado and Sierra, who's in competition with you every day. So my goal is to sell GM products and Ford and Chrysler, but also I have suppliers to you. One in this district is CTS. It's right at the edge of my district. That these two pedals have distinctly different problems. This longer one was having a slightly slow release, which means that when you take your foot off, it comes up just a fraction of seconds too slow. And it also was, because it was longer, was sticking in floor mats. But nobody was killed from that. That was a standard recall problem where you say, okay, we're going to fix the part. This one, however, for whatever, whether it's electronic or whatever, the one from, Denso, had acceleration. In other words, it wasn't that when you let go it went up, it was actually causing the car to go faster. And that's all the death cases came from the Denso model, not the CTS. Because when you go through the models, and this is important for several things, like Mr. Kanjorski, one of our concerns as American congressmen is that you treat America like the rest of the world. And we're very concerned about memos that suggest you are addressing the problem in Europe and Japan before in the United States. The other thing is in part suppliers, what's amazing in this story is that the American part supplier was actually delivering the safer model, and that your subsidiary, and I don't know whether you're aware, at a little after 3 o'clock, the FBI raided 3 Toyota suppliers, and one is this one that made the pedal that's causing it. And there's clearly going to be an investigation as to that. I also want to thank you for, if you're going to be an American company, for working with our parts suppliers. I understand that you need multiple suppliers, that having and it's good to have the competition. That's how we get better things. I understand even why, as a corporation, you need to have legal protection, although you need to be honest about what's happening here, and partly when we have hearings like this, more people file lawsuits, and you have to protect yourself and your stockholders, and I understand that. But in looking for safety, I encourage you to continue to look at the American suppliers, because in this case, I don't know whether it was because you were trying to do cost controls internally on your historic system, but what I see happening, and it's interesting when you match up these two models, what happened is that it isn't true that the American company was supplying your American-made vehicles, that you've been transitioning over, and where the problems were occurring were in the Denso model, and that you moved 50% over to Camry starting in 2007, but the problems were pre-2007. You've now been moving Lexus over, and I'm praising you, I'm not criticizing you for moving over, but it's more or less an acknowledgement that while you had problems in this one, they weren't as great as this one. And I would encourage you, like others have, to look at whether there was some interaction in the type of pedal, whether it was the cruise control that did it, or the electronic, or whether there's something inside here, because you're addressing the snapback. Because that's just a fraction, isn't, unless you catch your mat, which is partly, we have people sticking carpet under, you can have any kind of pencil get under that affect that. But that's still different than this sudden acceleration. And I encourage you to continue. You have multiple manufacturing plants in the state of Indiana, which aren't in my area. Like I say, we're more of the big 3. I also want to encourage you, in addition to not treating us differently compared to Japan and Europe in safety questions, and continuing to use American suppliers and doing your standards. I mean, the companies in my district are saying when you come in, you're very aggressive on making sure they have good standards. But to continue to do that, and I'll also encourage you, I'm very discouraged that a number of years ago you said your goal was to be the #1 auto supplier to Iran. Now, we have rules in the United States about supplying Iran, and I hope Toyota also reverses that position, because as Americans, we're very concerned about that. I'd be welcome any comments.
イランに車を出していらっしゃると思いますけれども、それをしてはいけないということなんです。質問はないんですか？ないんです。言いたかっただけです。
Thank you for all the suggestions and advices. I must only say that we do not treat American customers any differently from Europe or Japan. And just a matter of timing, that there may be a difference in reacting to the resolving the problem, but there's no way that we can differentiate any American drivers from the rest.
All right, gentlemen's time has expired.